Are you thinking about moving to the Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, or somewhere near the Chesapeake Bay? I think there are some things you need to know that are unique to our area and some general tips that I'm going to share in this video you should know before considering a move. But before I do, who am I? My name is Josh. I'm an agent with Bragg & Company Real Estate. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home here in the Northern Neck or Middle Peninsula, I'd love to earn your business. I'll leave my contact information down below. But let's dive into this. Some of these things I think might surprise you before you move to this area. Number one is the quality of life you can have can be dramatically affected based on the town that you select. And what I mean by that is I have lived in other towns in my life, other parts of Virginia, for example. I grew up in the Shenandoah Valley. I lived in Charlottesville and Richmond, respectively, for a few years. And I learned somewhere along the way that there are parts of each city or parts of each area that they're kind of the same. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yes, they're all different in their own way, but each one of them has their grocery store, their Chinese restaurant, Mexican restaurant, park, whatever, and they're all kind of relatively the same. But here in the Northern Neck and Middle Peninsula, the town you select to live in can play a big role in the quality of life you have, the amenities you're going to be near, the things you do on a daily basis. And I think finding a realtor that knows those things and what your favorite things to do and why you're thinking about moving to this area could play a big role in the town you select. Knowing which areas have certain amenities, certain hobbies, you're going to be close to certain healthcare or hospitals, how far away you are from, getting back home if you live in another city or town and this is your second home. All that should be considered in the town you select. And number two is finding that local realtor that does know those things. Find somebody that knows the area. I have seen folks hire agents from other areas that come into our area and they're doing their client a disservice, actually. They don't know certain things about our area, such as different bodies of water can affect the value of a home, the depth of the water, the other amenities around that body of water. You wouldn't believe how many folks don't understand controlling depths of certain waterways, and yet they're advising clients on buying or selling a home in this area. I think finding a local realtor that knows those things, it can play a big role. And this isn't necessarily me saying definitely use me. I'm saying just find someone local. That way you don't miss out. And that plays right into number three, and that is find that local realtor, but also ask them to do a proper CMA, even if you're on the buying side. So whether you're buying or selling a home, having a realtor that knows what they're doing, do a comparative market analysis to determine what that actual value of that property is can play a big role in what you should do moving forward. Even if you're on the buying side, how would you even know if that house is, say, overpriced or if it's a great deal, if you think it's going to hold the value? Have that realtor do that CMA, have that realtor advise accordingly. And that way, even if it doesn't affect your decision-making moving forward, you at least know what the data is telling us, what the market says that home is worth. It might even play a role in not just the way you handle things currently, but how you handle things in the future, whether or not you stay there for a short or a long period of time. So finding that local expert, having them do some homework for you, all of that could play a big role in how you handle the situations moving forward. And that plays right into number four, and that is I see a lot of folks when they're looking in this area, they've gotten tired of these websites that they link you up to some random buyer's agent and you don't always get connected with somebody that's in the know. They're tired of that. Now they're going directly to the listing agent. They'll find out who's listing that property and they'll call them directly. And I actually think you're doing yourself a disservice on that. It's one of the reasons why I try to have good relationships with other realtors. So that way, if somebody does call me on one of my listings, I can refer them to someone that could take good care of them. And I still have folks that'll say, well, Josh, I know you're listing it. I still want you to be my agent too. And that's what we call a dual agency. And that's okay in certain situations. But just know that if you call that listing agent directly, you find that house and you call them and you ask them some questions, just know that they are to work for their client. They have a fiduciary duty to do what's best for that client. Their job is to get that seller the most amount of money they can for that home. And finally, number five, this is more of a tip than anything. And that is, if you have certain things you want in that house, I think you should look at some houses that check some of the boxes, even if they don't check all the boxes. Now, I'm not saying you should waste your time or your realtor's time if you know for a fact that a house is just not a fit. But I have seen some folks that when they have their must-haves and wanna-haves, right? You've got the things you want the house that are deal breakers if it doesn't have it, But then there's those other wanna-haves, right? Maybe it does or does not have a hot tub, and you say, well, it's a great house. I really want a hot tub, but it still checks all the other boxes. I think you should still look at those houses. I recently had a client say to me, hey, now that I've seen this house, I now know why that other one is priced the way that it is. And had I not made the trip over here and looked at this other house, I'm not sure I would have understood. And ultimately, there are times when folks look at those houses that check some of the boxes, if not all of them, and that's the house they end up buying. I think you should look at a few different houses and get a good grasp on what you like and what you don't like, not just looking at pictures online. Again, working with a good agent can help with all of that, but nobody can capture the feeling that a house can give you through pictures or words online. I think just getting in there and feeling that, sometimes the pictures don't do it justice. Let me know your thoughts. Do any of these tips cover something that you've dealt with? I'd love to hear about that down in the comments section. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one too. It's where we talk about valuing a home and some of the things that folks don't consider in our area. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button for more Down by the Bay. We'll see you next time.